Hey, welcome back to the channel. So we've got a good looking puzzle here, it seems. This one's called Another Tight Fit by the Bard. Haven't looked at our rule sets yet, but it looks like their typical rule sets. uh, and it just looked like an interesting puzzle to go look at and give it a go. So let's jump into our rules and see what's going on. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So it's place digits 1 through 9 once each in every row, column, and 3x3 box. Killer cages. So all of these cages are killer cages. Digits and cages add up the value in the corner and cannot repeat. So pick any of one. This 9 here. These two digits must add up to 9, and they cannot repeat. Same goes for all these other ones, for whatever the clue up in the top left corner depicts what the value of them must be. And then we have our region sum line. So digits in each box along the marked line adds up to the same value. Different lines may have different values. So if we were to look at, let's just use this one as an example for it. These are all different region sum lines, so they can have different values. But looking at this one example, essentially what it's meaning is this thing crosses into two different regions. Whatever these two digits add up to, these two digits must add up to, because the border of the region is what delineates where the digits cut off between each region and which ones they count to. So if you were to look, use the same type of example in this longer one, these three digits would equal whatever these three digits add up to, which would equal whatever these three digits add up to, which would equal what these three digits add up to, which would equal what these three digits add up to, which would equal what these three digits add up to. I think that's fairly well determined now. So that's all I've got in terms of an intro for this one. So why don't we just get started and see where it takes us. Now, one of the first things I noticed when I open this up is it looks like we've got quite a bit of, or essentially all of our cages are segregated to each region. There's nothing crossing a border. So if we look down here, we can see something fairly interesting, that we have all of these cages. We know what their given values are, and we have just one digit left over. Now we know that in a 3x3 box, those digits are the digits 1 through 9 once each. And if you add all those up together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, you get 45. Now we already know we've got a 17, a 13, and a 10. That's a 40. So therefore this must equal 5. And do we have anything else here that's pretty much the same thing? Let's look at this 39, because we know all of these added up to 39. Again, we have to get to 45. So these three digits are going to have to equal 6. And now there's only one way to make a 6, and we should know that by now. It's 1, 2, and 3. 29 and 7 gives us up to 36, which leaves us with 9. So we can't quite say what these digits would be. There's not quite enough information. Same goes with this. These all equal to 36, so these must equal 9 in some way. But there's multiple ways to make 9. I guess, well, let's just look back here in this cage, because we've got some information that I kind of skipped over. We've got a 17 cage, so we know these are 9 and 8. We also have a 10 cage, so we know, and there's 4, well, I should expound on that. It's a 2-cell 17 cage can only be made up by 9 and 8. A 4-cell 10 cage can only be made up with 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you add those up together, you get 10. So this 13 cage must be a 6, 7. I'm going to somewhat pass on writing in the 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment, and move on to something else, just so I don't clog up the Sudoku with a bunch of pencil marks that don't necessarily give us anything at this stage. Now, these three digits must be from 4, 6, and 7. Do I want to write those in just yet? And I don't think so, because I don't think it's giving us much to go on. Again, this 30 here there's only one way to make a 30 cell, a 30 cage with 4 cells, which is 9, 8, 7, and 6. I guess we can put a 4, 5 in here, because that's what's left over there. What else? Now the 15 cage, there's two ways to make it, 9, 6, and 8, 7. So we don't quite have the ability to do that one just yet. Now the only other thing I could think to look at is we got a 6 and a 7 cage looking at each other, but there's still multiple ways those can be done. And coexist, I think. Like you could do a 5-1 here and a 4-3 here. You could do a 4-2 here, and a 6-1 here, something like that. So there's options left over. Now with this 9 looking back over here, can we then, and this 6-7 as well, I guess, can we look back at these guys and make a better determination of what they need to be? Now, I guess we could use the 29, because we do know it has to be 9, 8, 7, 5, because we know 30 is 9, 8, 7, 6 in 4 digits. So if we know this is a 9, 8, 7, 5, I'm going to put that in for now, just so it's I don't have to think about it. And then we know that these have to equal 36 total. So this guy had to equal 9 and 3. That still doesn't really change anything. I guess what it does, we do know it has to have a 1 on it, and that's because of this 4, 5, which is what I was thinking about previously. So we know there has to be a 1 on here. Because to make a 9, you either have, in 3 cages, you either have to have a 1 on it or you have to have 2, 3, 4. And we can't do 2, 3, 4 because that would break this 9 cage. So this 7 cage actually looks like we can get something down to it, because we know it now can't be 5, 2. Because there's a 5 in here. We know it can't be 6, 1 because there's a 1 here. So this is going to have to be a 3, 4 cage, which means this is going to have to be a 1, 2, 6 cage. And then we can get a 3 here because of our 1 and 2 looking at this. So let's get rid of those. Now that we know this is a 3, 4, we can look at this 6 and say this has to be a 5, 1. Because the only other way to make a 6 in 2 cells is 4, 2. And there's a 4 right there. And the next step is going to be what? Well, I guess we can figure out these digits, and then we're going to know what all of these add up to, which is going to be useful because it looks like we can just make that determination of what this digit is. So let's do that. These digits have to be from 7, 8, and 9, which is 24 total. So therefore, we've got 9 and 8 here. This has to be a 7 to equal 24. Now, the only way to make 24 in 3 cells is 9, 8, 7. So these are all going to be 9, 8, and 7s. Can't be 7, clearly. This 1, 5, we can just get rid of that 1 there. And actually, we can finish that one off because we know we've got a 3, 4 pair, we've got a 7, 8, 9 pair, we've got a 1, 5 pair. So these 2 digits must be from 2 and 6, and there's a 6 over here. So this is 2, this is 6, and we'll get rid of these 6s. Now, we also know that these have to be 9, 8, 7. There can't be a 7 on it, so get rid of that 7, put a 7 here. That gets rid of 7s on these 2. And we do have a 7, 8, 9 triple here. Well, let's look at this 15 cage. There's more going on with this one than trying to put some random possibilities, or not random possibilities, but filter this one down. We know this was either 9, 6, or 8, 7. Those are the only 2 options for a 15. Well, this can't be 8, 7 anymore, because if I put 8, 7 here, what do you put on this other ones? You have to have 8 and 9, and you've just repeated the 8. So therefore, this must be a 9, 6. So that's a 9 there, that's 6 there. Then we can get our 8 here. And get rid of our 8s. We can get rid of our 9s. So this actually just ends up being 8 and 9. That's going to give us a 7 here. This can't be 7 or 9, so therefore it's 8, 9, and 8. And this has to be 7. This has to be 9. This has to be 7. This has to be 7. This has to be 9. This has to be 8. And those 8, 6, there's 7s, 8s, and 9s unraveled pretty quickly. We should be pretty close to determining what these other things are in terms of our 987s. Because we know we have to have 987 and 6 in these 4 digits. We've got 8 and 7 here, so these have to be from 9 and 6, and these have to be from 8 and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4 isn't good enough yet to work with. Let's look down here in this region, because it looks like we might have a little bit of something to work with now. We've got the 36, so we said we needed to have 9 here. We've got 2 here, so we have to make well, not at least, we have to make a 7 now. We can't use 6, 1, and we can't use 5, 2, so therefore these have to be from 3 and 4. Now if these are 3 and 4, this has to be a 1. I guess we can start filling in these digits now. It's kind of holding off a little bit. No, maybe not. Let's look here. We've got 987 here. We need to put a 10 here. So the only way we can do that is with a 6-4 pair. Because you can't put a 5 in a 10 gauge. So that's going to start seeing some things. So let's start putting that in. 9 and 6. Did we get anything else out of that? Let me just remove a 9 from here. But I think that's as far as that one goes. Let's try to find something else like that instead of just putting in a bunch of different numbers. Again, we know this 9 now can't have a 2, 3, 4. It's 3 cells. Can't be 2, 3, 4 because it would break this. We have to have a 1 in it, which means this has to be 2 and this has to be 1. And that didn't do much down here. Can we actually finish this one, though? Because we know it has to have a 1 on it, and therefore we have to make an 8 now, and it clearly can't be another 7, 1. It can't be 6, 2, because there's a 2 there. So it'd have to be 1, 5, 3. That would be the only possible way to make a 9 now. So if this is 1, 3, 5, that forces this to be 4 and 3. And we can remove our 5 from up here. And down here, we know these are from 9, 8, 7, and 6, so there has to be a 6 down here. What else do we know? I don't see much else there, which is interesting. So maybe what we need to either start looking at is some of these other killer cages we haven't looked at just yet. And yeah, I guess this 9 we can do something with. It's not really going to give us much, but we can figure out what it is. Because it can't be 8, 1, 7, 2, or 6, 3, because all of those digits are in here, so it has to be a 5, 4. There's nothing determining which one is which yet, though. The other thing we can look at is this column. We know that there has to be a 1 up here, because there's a 1 down here. There's no other place for a 1 to go. There has to be, what else does there have to be on this thing? I guess nothing really that jumps out further. I mean, there has to be a 6 down here. But nothing great there. All right, what about this column? Because we do have some, we know what these 2 digits have to be. They have to be 4 and 6, and we do have a 6, so let's put our 4 and 6 in, and that's going to give us our 5 and 4 now. We can get rid of this 5. And we've got 3 digits left in this row. They have to be from 1, 2, and 3. And it's not, well, this has to be a 2 then, because we've got 1 and 3 looking at it, so this has to be 2. This has to be from 1 or 3. So now those are the only 2 digits left over. And we can say what these 2 digits need to be. They have to be from 4 and 6. We've got a 4 here now looking at us. So this is 6 and this is 4. And we should be able to continue moving in this direction. We've got to put 1, 2, and 3 in these. We don't have quite enough info to do that yet. What about over in here? We have to have a 5, which could go anywhere. We have to have a 2, which can go anywhere. The 1 and the 3 as well. All right. So let's find our next location. And where is it? Okay, let's look at this. We've got, because we finished this 2 here, we know this has to equal 8. So therefore these two have to equal 8. We've got a 1 here, so this must be 7. That's going to give us 8, 9, and 5, which is going to give us 7 and 8. That's good, because that's going to give us what these two are, which is 8 and 9. And these two are going to have to be 6 and 7. There's a 7 here, so let's put our 6 and 7 in. And now we're almost done with our region sum lines. We've got this guy left over. We're almost done with our killer cages. We've got these 3 to work out. Like I said, we know what this one is. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4, so let's put that in now. Almost, but not quite here. That we had something to work with. And there's nothing cross-referencing just yet. Now, what's the most these can be? I guess the answer is 11. Or the most this can possibly ever be, because we have 9, 8, and 7 already looking at it. It's 6 and 5. That would be the maximum. That's 11. So if I were to ever put a 5 here, I would always be over 11, and I can never get to it from here. So this has to be 1 and 5. So let's get rid of our 1 there. Now we know that these are either 9 or 10. That's 6, actually. Let's just put it there. Didn't quite see that. That was open and given. Our 6 is done. Almost, yeah, because the 6 here is seeing this as well. So this is 4 and 6. So we should be done with our 6s. We are. Are we done with our 4s yet? And the answer is not quite. We know it has to be one of these two. We said this has to be either 9 or 10. So this has to either equal 9 or 10. So this has to be a 3 or a 4. And again, there's nothing quite looking at it that we can say what's exactly what. Maybe we can get back to this column now, or one of these columns, because a lot of the information is shown now. We need to have a 1, which we said already had to be up here. We have to have a 2, which could still go anywhere. We have to have a 3, which could go in multiple places, and we have to have, oh, that's it, 1, 2, and 3, sorry. So that's no bueno. What about these guys? We get 2, 3, and 5. Again, there's not anything there really except for this 5. And there's too much going on with this column really, I think, to try to look about. We know these are 1 and 2 left over. I don't think we have too much here. This has to be from 1, 2, 3, or 4. It just can't be a 4. We're pretty much already said that. We just said this column has to be 1, 2, and 3. All right. Now, if we have a 6 here, we need to have 9 more in this 15 clue. How can we make 9 with what we've got left over? We can't do 8, 1. We can't do 7, 2. We can't do 6, 3. So we're going to have to do 4, 5. And we just determined that this one of these two has to be 4. So therefore, this has to be 4. This has to be 5. This has to be 3. That now equals 9. So this has to be 8 and 9. This has to be 9 and 8 by the power of Sudoku. This has to be 2. These are not 2, 3. And this is not a 4. There we go. We got that sorted. So now we have all of our region sums are taken care of. And all we have left is a couple of killer cages that just need to be sorted out. not a whole lot else. Now that we know this is a 2, let's finish up our markings. Finish this digit, which we know has to be a 3. These two digits have to be from 2 and 5, and we have a 5 looking at it, so let's put our 2 and 5 in. This column now is just leaving one more digit left over, and I think that's also a 3. It is. These two digits have to be from 1 and 2. 1 and 2. It's not quite enough. This has to be 1, 2, or 5. Nothing really going there. I guess we're going to have to do this 10K to put in what we need to have and go from there. So 1, 2, 3, and 5 are the only options in this row. That's all that's left over. How do we make 10 out of these 3 digits? Well, we're definitely going to have that 5 in it. So we have to have, okay, so that's what we have to do. We can't have a 1, because the most we can ever make this is 5 and 3, which is 8. So therefore, this is 3. These are not 3. We know we have to have a 5 in here to go with our 3 to make 8, and therefore it has to have a 2 to make the 10, so that's not 1. So we get a 2, 5 pair, which gives us our 1 here. This is a 3, this is a 1, this is a 5. This is now a 1, and this is a 2. That's going to give us our 4 and our 1, and we must have something here. Yep, this is 2, this is 3. That 2 gives us our 5 and our 2, and that 5 is going to finish off our puzzle. There we go. You solved it correct. Congratulations. So that was another tight fit by the Bard. Great logic all around. Not too difficult to see. You just had to do a lot of math at the end of the day, which is perfectly fine. Good puzzle. Really enjoyed that one again, Bard. Hope to see more from you. And I hope you all enjoyed that one. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know what to do. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.